One of my first memories of science would probably be the science fair. I can remember creating a project with one of my friends. Basically, we were trying to figure out how to make a tornado in like a mason jar or a water bottle. And me and one of my friends, we went home to my house, and I can just remember my mom like letting us experiment and try different things to try and create the tornado. And so this just really ignited our curiosity and what we were passionate about and what we wanted to do. So that was really good. And then we really couldn't get the gist of it. So then she kind of helped us and geared us in the right direction. And then we were able to create a tornado. And then we were able to share it at the science fair. I can also remember learning about like the plant life cycle, or like how the butterfly life cycle and how it starts as a caterpillar and then it goes to a butterfly. Obviously we learned about like clouds and the water cycle and precipitation and all those types of things. I think those are probably the most common things that come to my mind when I think of science in elementary school. My most memorable or positive science moment was probably one of the practices that my teacher really implemented in her class was hands-on learning. And with science, I think that that's extremely important, especially for me because I'm a very hands-on learner. I'm not a visual learner or just like auditory learner. I need to actually be doing it and implementing something if I want to be able to learn it. So we did a lot of projects. We did a lot of experiments when I was in elementary school, and she just really believed that you could retain the information if you were actually doing things that implemented what we were learning. So I think that that's definitely something that I would use in my future classroom. But I think that you have to know your students and you have to know their learning styles, and that's really how you'll be able to decide how they're going to learn best, and then just try to implement different learning strategies into the classroom. But I think hands-on is probably one of the biggest things. Obviously kids love to get messy and dirty and they love to touch things, especially in the elementary level. So giving them that opportunity is really important. A practice that I wasn't too fond of was probably just the lecture method. I can remember in like middle school and high school, some of my science teachers were just lecture, and I think it just got boring and we started to lose focus and we didn't do a lot of experiments. So that was really challenging for me because, like I said, I'm a hands-on learner, so I didn't have the opportunity to really gain the information that I needed to. I can remember my 7th grade teacher though. She was awesome, and she was my biology teacher. And even though there was a lot of lecture, she had like foldables. We would create foldables. So we were still like creating things, but we were also taking notes. But there were visuals within the foldables, and we were writing, and then we would do experiments. So there was like a good balance between the lecture and the hands-on learning. So I just remember that, and it was really important for me because obviously we have to have lecture, we have to learn the material, but then we need to be able to practice what we've learned. So that's what we did. We learned it, and then we would practice it with experiments and case studies and different things like that. So I just remember that being a really positive thing for me, but I probably wouldn't just implement a straight lecture in my classroom. We know that kids' attention spans aren't very long, so we really have to keep them, up and moving and doing things. And like I said, I don't think they're going to retain the information as well if they're just listening to someone, unless that's the way they learn and that's what's best for them. But most students aren't like that, so we really have to give them opportunities to practice what they're learning. I think that my experiences within science, I think that really does affect what kind of a teacher you want to be with science. I think science is one of those components. Obviously, it always gets overlooked and we don't really focus on it in the curriculum, but I think it's a really fun and hands-on way to introduce different things with it, and you can really have like a cross-curricular with it. Like it can go with ELA and it it can go with math, and I think teachers lose sight of that and they forget that like that is a thing. And you can have an ELA lesson within a science lesson, and you can make things like more engaging and more fun for students. So even if you're doing a science experiment with someone and then they're answering questions or gathering data or whatever it is and then graphing it, like that's math. Or if they're just writing about whatever they learned, that's ELA. So you just have to remember that science doesn't have to be alone. It can be mixed with other subjects, and that's really important because we don't really have enough time in the school day to teach science. But if we can, do it with other subjects, then that's even better. And I just think probably my favorite science subject would be like chemistry, which sounds so weird, but math is my favorite subject. So I just love chemistry because it was all like numbers, and you used like different formulas and you would try to find the answers, and I was just so set on like being so precise and accurate about everything. And I think that that's probably why chemistry was one of my favorites. And we did do like cool experiments, so I liked that. But everyone's gonna like something different. So it's just important, I think, that we do teach in various ways. We have hands-on learning opportunities. We have tons of visuals. Yeah, we have to lecture sometimes. That's just how it is. But I think just giving them different opportunities to learn the science, I think that really contributed to my success in science. It wasn't always my favorite subject, but I tended to like it more when my teachers really did give us hands-on experiments and different opportunities for that. So I think that my experiences with science really does reflect the type of teacher that I want to be, because I want my students to be able to, retain that information. I want them to be able to experiment and be curious, and, even if like they come up with the most ridiculous answer, like who cares? They're being curious, they're thinking about what you're talking about, they're doing what you ask them to say, and they're having fun with it. So they're still learning. And these are all skills that are going to build them up to when they get to, middle school science and high school science. And maybe that's something that they'll want to pursue in the future. So I think it's just important that we really, give them different ways of learning science. And yeah, we can just have fun with it. Cool.